What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is HUD and Run It Back Philly. Let's go.
Let's go. This ain't the fuck like before this game, he stinks.
Oh, shit.
It's gone.
Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Welcome in, everybody. This is HUD Radio, Run It Back Philly. We'll just call it the HUD Run It Back Philly show, right here on HUD Radio and on Run It Back Philly. Every show we are brought to you by our doc, make them yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, location in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Tom Arnone, DJ Eastwood, Run It Back Philly, Ryan Brodo, everybody out there tuning in, listening, comment in. Let us know. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Stick around for a while. We got a lot to talk about tonight. We'll circle around the NBA. Draft is this week. I actually forgot like it was even this week. You know what I mean? Like after we got through trust the process, per se, like I didn't care about a draft ever again. You know what I mean? Like never wanted to talk about a draft for like, at least a decade or two. Like I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even care about draft picks. So we do have the draft coming up, and there could be some moving and shaking around the league, so we'll talk about it. Sixers trade targets coming up on draft night and afterwards. All right, we'll talk a little bit about that. And our main topic at hand is Tobias Harris trade scenarios, and I know we got a bunch of them. It's going to tie right into our poll question brought to you by Manscaped, and you get 20% off and free shipping with the code A2D at manscaped.com. Not only A2D, but no intro as well. So you get 20% off with either promo code you use. That's 20% off and free shipping. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life. Do it. Look at the lawnmower. Cleans you up. The ball deodorant. How did I know that was coming? The ball deodorant smells delicious, by the way. Like I love how just my whole body smells. A little foot spray. Then I got the 2-in-1 body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. And what don't they have for you? Our poll question for tonight's show. The Sixers will trade Tobias Harris this summer. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the follow. Comment in. Let us know where you're tuning in from and answer the poll question for us because I'm like split. This is another one. Like I think last night Sweep said C on a show. I could almost go C. Like I don't know. I mean, will he? Should he? Probably. But are you going to get the right stuff back? He's owed a lot of money. The only positive is only 2 years left on the deal, so maybe somebody would be inclined to do it, like we talked about before we came on. A lot of dry jocks. Find the idiot. Find the moron. Find the Harvard grad who has no right being in the league. Find somebody that overvalues. Easier said than done, though. So I'm going to disagree. I don't think I don't think it's like do they want to trade him, right? Okay, like I think yes, they would want to get rid of him and move on. And try some different pieces for sure, okay? But will they? I don't know. So when I don't know and I really feel that way, I'll disagree. Does that not mean there's not deals out there that we're not going to like and we're not going to say, yeah, this deal should get it done? My biggest concern is that hey, they might find the idiot, but that idiot they're gonna take a step back, our idiots, and say, well, you know what? That's probably not enough. Right, it took us a long time to get rid of Ben when everybody knew we wanted to get rid of him. But even bigger than that, it's because they wanted what they considered value back. Right, not only to sell tickets, but to hopefully make their basketball team better. So are they, not that Tobias Harris sells tickets, let's be real, right? But you know what I mean, just in terms of that deal. Now, in terms of this deal, it's finding somebody, and then when you find that person, is that deal good enough? Like, we might say it's good enough, but internally, Ellen Brand, Daryl Morey, Doc Rivers might say, you know what, that doesn't make us better, we don't think. And the biggest thing is why I just like, I'm on a disagree side of things is because I just don't know how good we are. Like, I know we can be good if Joel's healthy, but if Joel's not healthy, it doesn't matter what we get back. Unless it's like Bradley Beal, where then you're saying Maxey, Beal, Harden. Okay, maybe that can win you a series if you needed it, right? Regular season game, there's deals that we can make that would win us regular season games without Joe. But we got to get over the playoff hump, and we're never going to get there unless he's fully healthy in a playoff run. And then, yes, the other side of that is what's his supporting cast look like, right? That matters to it, too, if he is healthy. So if there's a right deal for Tobias Harris, please do it. Okay, please do it. I think I speak for all Sixers fans. And I'm not a hate Tobias guy. He drives me crazy, but I'm not like I hate him. Like, not to hate a face. Like, I knew what he was, right? So I don't hate that. That's like you had a maximum. Your hands were tied, and you had to do what you had to do. So I don't hate the guy for it. Get your money, dude, right? But he's never going to be a max guy. So like we talked about right before we came on, if there's a deal to do it to get you out of that, then you have to absolutely do it. So, I'll agree that he should be, but I'll disagree that I think he is because I just think it's going to be hard with that kind of money too. So let us know out there, boys. I already know what you guys think, but let the people know what you think.
I think. Am I getting an echo? Are you guys hearing an echo?
No.
Hold on. It's me over here. All right, here we go. I had two windows open. I'm stupid. Okay, I agree to the poll that the Sixers will trade Tobias Harris, and here's the reason. Daryl Morey has a lot of pressure on him right now, not just in his tenure as the Sixers president, but his entire legacy as an NBA GM, because everything he tried to do in Houston got you, to a Western Conference final against the best team of all time. Chris Paul got hurt, whatever, but he hasn't gotten over the hump, and I think he's the pressure is mounting for him to get a team there. And this past season with the Ben Simmons stuff, he took a chance. We don't know what James Harden is. Hopefully with another offseason or whatever, the hamstring thing, hopefully he is the value that Daryl Morey set him at when he made that trade. I just think there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of things he still needs to do with this team in a short amount of time, which could be impossible, to do all the things in a short amount of time. But I just think he knows to tackle some of those things, Tobias Harris has to be gone 100% for money reasons. If you want guys like even a Morris twin or any player that's slightly above veteran minimum like worth, I don't think you can do much with Harden opting into a $47 million contract this year without moving Tobias Harris. I think it's a money issue. And to be totally honest, I don't think Tobias Harris is the best fit next to Joel Embiid in the first place. I don't think he's enough of a floor stretcher. I don't think he shoots enough three-pointers. I think he falls back into this post-game too much, back to the basket, wanting to be like a turnaround, fadeaway, jump shoot kind of guy. With Joel off the floor, fine, but it's not a perfect fit. I'm not saying it's a terrible fit, but I think there could be a better fit. And if you can find a guy that is clearly a better fit for less money, I think you absolutely have to do that, and I think that's going to be Daryl Morey's number one priority before the draft, because I think he's going to have to include probably number 23 to get it done. Because if people are looking at, I'm paying this much money for this guy, he averages 17 points per game, he's a kind of a third or fourth option, why would I do that? And you tell a bad team like, hey, look, you get picked 23 also, So I think that might be what has to happen. If I had to guess, like, what is the highest probable situation, I would think it's Tobias Harris and the number 23 before the draft. So I'm going to agree to the poll. One thing I am nervous about is, will Daryl Morey overvalue Tobias Harris and not take certain things the same way that I believe that he overvalued the living hell out of Ben Simmons. Whether that stuff was true or not, I don't know. I think part of me thinks he was sitting back trolling, like putting his feet up on his desk, like, haha, watch this. I'm going to tell him I want 7 draft picks and 3 of their best young players and all this stuff for Ben Simmons, and they hang up the phone. So I don't know if he was being truthful or if he was just setting the bar high. But, yeah, I think he has to balance not overvaluing. And like I said, a guy that fits a little bit better and for less money, I think that's a no-brainer in my opinion. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I completely agree with DJ. And we talked about it before we came on. Like and we'll obviously discuss it, throughout the show, but depending on the move, like I don't know if I want Tobias being dealt. And I'm sure people in the chat are saying, what? You have to move him. He makes too much money. I agree. But to Tom's point from earlier, if it's just kind of like, I keep hearing this term like, oh, the Tobias Harris trade is a salary dump. Well, a salary dump's not making us closer to a championship. It's not. Like, sure, it'll give us more flexibility in later years because, you can move money around and all that stuff like a GM likes to do. But I believe there's moves out there that can make this team as good, if not better, than we currently are with Tobias. And to DJ's point, as far as like with Harden making what he's going to make when he opts in, and with Tobias making $37-ish million this year and then just over 39 next year, we all know, and if we know this, we would pray to God that Daryl knows this. Aside from the quote-unquote big 4, which we talked about last week, is sometimes, depending on how good James Harden is like the big 2.5 because sometimes he just doesn't know how to play basketball. Like, we need like 5 other guys on this roster that know how to play. We don't have a small forward. We don't have a backup center. Like, there's 4 or 5 guys that we need. And to be able to get that, well, you're not going to be able to get that all in free agency because of the cap situation. And you don't have a ton of movable contracts aside from Danny Green, that's just a buyout at this point because he's not going to play for a majority of the season at around $10.5 million. And the next guy is unfortunately Tobias Harris. You don't have anybody who's making anything in the 20s or high teens. So you have a bunch of guys that are making high 30s and then one guy at 10 and then the rest around like 3 million for the most part. So it's a very jaded roster when you talk about the money construction. So I agree with you, Tom. They're sure as hell going to try. They're going to try probably. I mean, they've definitely been trying. They're going to try before the draft. And if they don't get it before the draft, I think they're going to continue until he's on roster at the start of the season. But I don't know. Like, it's tough because we talked about at the beginning, and the one thing we haven't tried throughout this process or through this Embiid era is actually running back a team with the same core. Like the one thing we've constantly done, aside from choked in the second round of the playoffs, is we keep moving and shaking parts. We really haven't seen, hey, if we have a core 4, what happens if we allow them to get better with each other and make some quick little moves like we talked about last week where you don't have to move a $35 million contract. You can move a Matisse Thybulle for this or a Danny Green plus pick for that. DJ, me, you, and Tom, we lined it up last week. It's not hard. It's really not. We did it sitting here, sitting in a freaking computer chair. If we could do it, Daryl sure as hell better be able to. So I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. I don't think they need to trade Tobias to be good. And I think because Daryl Morey is so infatuated with star chasing, my fear is that they move Tobias and think that they can go out and get that fill-in-the-blank star. And we're sitting back this time next year being like, well, Jesus, we flipped it all again, and we're right back in the same spot we've been in.
Yeah, it's almost like we've made so many mistakes over the course of these, 6 years that now we're trying to patch it really quickly, and then there's no – we're at the point where it's like we can't home grow players because we don't have 5 years to wait. And so I don't know. You're right, we keep overturning the roster, but – I don't know what else to do at this point.
Yeah, listen, you don't have 5 years, but you do have 5 years in a way, right? Like you do because okay, your big man's getting hurt every year anyway. So I mean, essentially, you do have 5 years. So you would want to have a contingency plan to that. You would want to grow some homegrown players. You would want to not have to trade every pick go star hunting and try to at least get some first round picks, because you never know. Like a guy like Maxey falls and you're able to get a diamond in the rough. I mean, that stuff happens, right? Or be able to trade some players and your pick to maybe get up somewhere, right? For somebody else's pick and maybe take a salary you don't want back, right? So, I mean, there's other ways to get better. There truly is. Like, it doesn't have to be the star chase per se. I think in the Tobias deal, it has to be the star chase, because, you know, like the one deal we talked about before we came on, it doesn't overly move the needle of some of these other deals. Not that Tobias moves the needle at all, because he doesn't move the needle for me. But these other deals are like, okay, I'm just doing it to do it. Cool. And like Chiquita says, like, you know, it's got to be, you know, it's got to be the right player. Like Beal be the right player, I guess, right? Out of all the names that we've heard for Tobias, he's like the right player, because Maxey moves to your bench. He's your sixth man, probably win sixth man of the year. Let's go.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think Beal. I've said this before. Beal gets a rap for, you know, not taking a team anywhere. But I just think, man, listen, if they don't get as much value as I think they can get for Beal in a sign and trade, if he does leave, if they do a sign and trade, I think playing alongside a guy like Joel Embiid would unlock a different level of Bradley Beal if he's dropping 30 points on the Washington Wizards with no space. You know, I think he could take his game to the next level. So that's obviously the perfect one for me also is Bradley Beal. But I don't think it has to be a star. I think a lot of it depends on what James Harden looks like next season. Tyrese Maxey could take a huge jump, and maybe you don't need to get that level of a player in return for Tobias Harris. Maybe you can just flip that and use that money to fill out the roster with, you know, a backup center, like Ryan said, and some other things. A lot of things depend on a lot of things right now. But I also agree. I always agree to Tom's point that we're not going anywhere if Joel's injured. I mean, it just doesn't really – nothing really matters if he's hurt. It's like a quarterback in the NFL, you know? Yeah, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl, but let's be serious. If your starter's out, you're done. If Steph Curry's out, the Warriors are done. If Durant's out, the Nets are done. If Embiid's out, the Sixers are done. I mean, that is what it is. He just keeps getting hit with these annoying, freakish accident injuries, which is also because you can't place anything on it. You can't say he's injury prone technically. It's not like it's a recurring MCL or something. Like he gets punched in the face. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's tough because, like, when we talk about the Bradley Beal thing, like, on paper, yeah, like you put the scoring capabilities of Bradley Beal along with a Harden and obviously an Embiid, or even if, you know, in the equation where Embiid's hurt, you could say, okay, well, you're still going to be fine scoring wise. And, you know, then you would have Maxey coming off kind of in a Tyler Hero-ish role or Jordan Clarkson role. Because I see people, you know, panicking, oh, well, why would you move him to the bench? Well, some of your best scorers in the NBA are off the bench. It's not, you're not bench. Yeah, Jordan Poole. Like, you're not benching him. You're just.
Yeah, they act like he's not playing if you move.
Yeah. Like, oh, he's going to the bench, so he's not going to play 38 minutes in a playoff game. Like, what do you all right? Everybody good? Because that's how that works. Like, just because you don't start doesn't mean you don't finish. So, like, yeah, there's not the Beal isn't. I see everybody saying like who plays your four and who does this for you and who does that. Listen, I get it. That's why, like I said, like I don't know, because the trade scenario I saw for Beal was like, you know, you're giving up more than just Tobias too, right? And to me, it's like, okay, now you're even getting weaker. So, you know, what deals out there can you get back where you're trading one for two or three, right? So, okay, on the surface, you're not getting that star back, but you're getting, hey, two really good basketball players back, and now you're a little lengthier. You know, to me, that's what that would also be the direction I would more look for, right? Than like a dump or it has to be Beal, because there are going to be deals out there that you probably could pull off, you know, now that the other team do it, right? That you could pull off that you would say, okay, this makes us better. This makes us deeper, which deeper could be better.
Yeah, see,
and flexibility, like DJ said, and the flexibility side of it, where hey, now we can go add maybe another piece or two, even in this year, because of that, or even the following year, right? Because you're going to get some cap flexibility.
Yeah, I've seen recently online there is fans that want us to run it back. No pun intended, but want us to run it back because, like you said a couple minutes ago, we haven't done that. We haven't gone 2 seasons with a core and given them time to gel and everything. And I don't think the core is going anywhere. I think Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Joel Embiid are here. The idea is to put better players around them. But there's people on the internet that just say the craziest things ever, in my opinion. And they're talking about don't trade anybody, don't make any moves, let's run it back because we got to the second round and Joel was hurt. And if he wasn't hurt, we probably beat the Miami Heat. And they might be right, but I still don't think with the worst rebounding team in the league and the worst transition defense in the league and, George Niang coming off your bench, you're beating the Warriors or the Celtics. So you get one step closer, but I think, it's annoying that we keep shaking it up, but I just look at the outside of the top 5 guys, this roster was not good.
I'm right in the middle of that, right? Because the people who say that, DJ, oh my God, if he didn't have a broken face, it would have been completely different. Sure, maybe, but then would it be completely different in the third round? Or if you somehow get past that and you get to the finals, like you just said, George freaking Niang was our 6th man. He was the only guy sometimes that knew how to play basketball off our bench. So, I hear everybody talking about star power, right? Yeah, you want some of the greatest players on your team along with other great players. That's a great scenario. Where do I sign up? But based off of our mistakes and kind of, Tom, you and I were talking about this earlier, maybe / hopefully where the league's starting to move to based off of what you've seen the Warriors do, the Bucks, you're looking at, the Celtics, for example. What's more important, star power or fit? And the thing I can promise everybody, and I don't think there'll be any disagreements, is a lot of the rosters we've seen in Philadelphia the last handful of years didn't friggin' fit. Star power, sure, didn't fit.
Well, not even that. It's not even about fitness. It's about giving time to fit too.
Yeah,
right?
that too.
I mean, we've been moving and shaking nonstop, and listen, that's just the way it's gone. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have been moving and shaking back then, like we did, right? I mean, I'm all in to get Tobias and Jimmy, like we did. Go at it, but don't expect to cut the net down that year. You got to expect to give it another year, and then you have the ability to go win it all. Now, the only thing I'll say about the Joel injury is no, we're not winning the finals, but we got over this hump and this this dark cloud that is the second round of the NBA playoffs for us. Yes, and that would have been a huge step for us. That would have been huge. So no, it would have been really hard to go beat the likes of Boston and Golden State for sure. But is it something that couldn't have been done? I mean, it could probably be done. Who's stopping Joel for both of those teams? And I always said that all year long. Who's stopping them? Warriors are fantastic. I'm not saying we're beating the Warriors, but I mean, if there's a team that we gave them some trouble this year a little bit too. So we did give them some trouble. If we're looking back at regular season games, I get it, but we gave them some trouble. So I mean, why not? So I'm not saying we would have, but we but more likely would have got over our own hurdle, which is just getting past the second round, and that can get to that stench of the pussycat Ben Simmons off of us and say, you know what, we did win this trade as of right now. And then we're feeling better having these conversations today too. We're feeling better on the direction of this franchise, our best player, etc. Because if what we just witnessed again is your best player's got to carry you. And he's a carrier, but the injuries let you down. And you're not going to win anything if he gets hurt.
Think about this too, right? And I'm overly simplifying it, but you guys will understand what I'm saying. When we shook it up the last, 3-4 years, right? Well, it was always triggered by something. It wasn't, the Sixers are bored in the office and they're just going to make a 5 for 2, player trade. It was triggered by something. The thing that triggered them to go out and get Jimmy Butler and then Tobias was one thing. They weren't willing to figure out if Markelle Fultz could friggin' play. They gave it 20 games and they're like, okay, this is enough. So we cannot go forward with a core of Joel, Markelle, Simmons, etc. So we're like, okay, we've got to speed up this process. Now, Fultz didn't go in that deal. He went later that season or the following season. But you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we need a third star or maybe even a second star because we don't know what Simmons is yet. We don't realize he's Ben Simmons. And we need a guy that can be a veteran along with Embiid. Same thing with Tobias. The last season, or these last 2 years rather, we shook it up because a guy who's making $30 million wouldn't show up. So, like, you've had extreme situations where you had to be forced into shaking it up. Oh my God, you gotta flip this core. Oh, Jimmy Butler's not back. Okay, you have to re-sign Tobias Harris for max contract. Oh, okay, Ben Simmons is not going to show up. You have to flip him plus to get another, disgruntled veteran. So you've had a lot of different situations. Listen, I get the need just based off of contract and cap situation. Like, yeah, you might need to flip Tobias because he's making 37 and 39, and you need like 4 other players. But if you're just going to be getting just I'll throw this out there. Like, I keep seeing, oh, would you trade Tobias Harris for Kevin Love and Chetty Osman? No, I wouldn't do that. Why are we saying these things? Like, it hasn't gotten that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that bad.
Hey, Kevin Love's not as old as people think he is. You know that, right?
No, he's not, DJ.
He has a full head of gray hair, but he's 33 years old. Somebody showed me his age the other day, and I almost fell over. I thought he was 39.
Oh, he's got the body of like a 49-year-old.
He feels like he is.
That's true.
But
I would be interested. I mean, I wouldn't hate the Kevin Love, but is he healthy? Right? I mean,
well, he's like a championship experienced George Niang at this point. Like, he's a way better player than Niang, but like same body type.
Can he still does he still rebound a lot?
That's a good question, DJ. Let me go to the good old Basketball Reference.
I mean, he used to be a rebounding machine. He was the perfect rebound, 3-point shooter type of stretch 4. But yeah, he's just, you never know if the guy's going to be on the court. So I don't think that does much for you. Like, thinking about his play style compared to Tobias, I think it fits better next to Joel Embiid. But yeah, I don't think with the way that you never know if he's on the floor or not, I don't think you could go Kevin Love, Chetty Osman.
Yeah, you would have. So he averaged just over 7 total rebounds last year, and yeah, based off of fit, along with not only Embiid but Harden, based off of you can have a lot of wide open threes. You're going from a Tobias Harris who averaged just over 36% from 3 to Kevin Love who averaged just over 39 last year. So you're improving a little bit on the 3-point ratio also.
Yeah, you're only doing that if it opens you up some flexibility, maybe do some other things this year.
For sure.
But like Tom, you and I have really butted heads with the Bradley Beal thing. Like, I've been wrong before. I would be happily wrong with this, but I did find a Bradley Beal Sixers trade that I think, if it's going to happen, would be something like this. So I got to put it up on here. Would everybody be cool with? Let me get this out of the way.
I love it. Trade machine on the screen, Ryan. I love it.
Oh, we're ready to go. Yeah,
big green check mark. that means it's real. That means it's happening.
It's real.
Success.
Now, if they want a Jaden Springer or a Paul Reed or an Isaiah Joe, God bless. I'm just talking about like the structure.
Can I get who else can I get that's a 4 on there on Washington or a 3? Because I don't want Ish Smith.
Tobias, Matisse, and 2 firsts.
Yep. Are you guys seeing that?
You don't want to bring Ish Smith home? Dish Smith? You don't want to see some Dish Smith back in a Sixers uniform, man.
So you can.
That guy was partly the only reason I was watching the Sixers in 2015. I want to say.
Let's get that shit.
It would be one of these 3, Tom. Now you'd probably have to pay a little extra for him just because he was a high pick, but he's all over the map right now. Mr. Hachimura. This guy is just an ultimate. I mean, this guy's going a million miles an hour on the court. He's ultimate effort. And he was Avdija was like the number 4 overall pick. So these 2 are high picks. So you might have to throw in a little extra to get him, but I mean, you've got 2 small forwards and then a power forward.
I would like Rui.
All right, let me sub out Mr. Ish, Sixers legend Smith.
The real. I don't think it's
Love
like
him.
we would trade Matisse over Niang like that. Like that. It's just what they would rather want. Like, why would they want George Niang?
Right.
You know what I mean? They're going to look at it as like analytical nerds. Like, he's a great defender.
You have to sell. You have to sell. As long as there's still GMs that think that, you have to sell.
Yeah, I see people be
Ruin Beal. I mean, I don't know who doesn't make that trade. Because like you do get a little bit. You do make up for like Matisse's age, with Hachimura's age. So that's a win. And then Beal, I think Beal's like a year or two younger than Tobias, right? Or at least a year younger, or they're pretty close, right? So in terms of like age, you're sort of getting the same thing back. I mean, I think it's hysterical. It has as -4 wins.
Oh yeah, I never paid attention to that stuff.
I mean, they went up 4. I mean, that's the big. I mean, what's going on here? What don't I know? I mean, now I don't know. What don't I know?
I see people in the comments being like, "Oh, why would Washington do it?" Listen, this is after. In my opinion, the only reason they would do this is if Bradley, because I swear to God, he's just looking for attention with all these. Oh, I've made my decision. It's going to get crazy, but I'm not telling anybody. This is if he comes out and says, "I want to go to Philadelphia," and they like have to do a deal with us.
Mhm.
Like, I think there's way better offers to get Bradley Beal out there in the NBA. Yeah, I do.
Maybe, but somebody else might not want to give up that max guy because that max guy is too important to their basketball team. Like in terms of us, where we're okay with giving up this max guy. You know, I have to look at every roster's max contracts to say, okay, you know, this team would want to give up that player for Beal. You know, because maybe they wouldn't. I don't know, right? I don't know. But that deal, why wouldn't Washington make that deal? He's got 1 year left on his deal. He's not staying there. They get a young player in Matisse Thybulle. They get 2 first-round picks out of it, which in 2026 could be a really good one. You don't know, right? You get this year's first. Okay, they get back a power forward and they get rid of one, so they don't have as much of a log jam too, and they get back a defender that people claim is elite. That's not elite. I mean, so at the end of the day, like that's not a bad deal. You get back 2 firsts and a young player that is considered one of the top wing defenders in basketball for a team that can't guard a parked car, according to their star a year and some change ago. So to me, that makes sense for them. I'm not telling you it's the best deal in the world for them. Definitely makes sense.
Well, people also need to remember that 2 things. First of all, in my experience watching the NBA, sign-in trades don't return a whole lot of value. You know, for whatever reason that is, it just, you know, a sign-in trade, the team gets put in a position where they're like, we have to take the best offer very soon, you know, and they end up getting screwed. We got Josh Richardson back for Jimmy Butler, you know what I mean? Like they're so that's number one. So if it looks like, well, that's not enough for Bradley Beal, this isn't Bradley Beal asking for a trade 2 years ago. This is at Bradley Beal agreeing to a sign-in trade, which is different. So you might be able to get it for that Tobias, Matisse, and 2 firsts. I think that's actually a decent amount of value. And people need to remember that the Washington Wizards are not in some kind of win now mode if they're trading Bradley Beal. This is a full-blown rebuild if they're trading Bradley Beal. So honestly, the first-round draft picks might move the needle just as much as the players that you're throwing in there, because they would then probably be just trying to unload everything and stack up draft picks as much as they can for the next season or 2. Where's Davis Bertans? Did they trade him?
He's on the
last
Mavericks.
season?
He's on the Mavericks.
Yeah, so he was a major contract that they massively overpaid, because I think they only watched him against the Sixers when he turned into Klay Thompson and dropped 57 points.
Correct.
And so they got rid of that money. I mean, I think Washington would be in a full-blown rebuild if there's a Beal sign and trade situation. So I think it's very possible.
And
I think this is the. Do you want an under the radar move? And he gets a bad rap for whatever happened in New York, but the dude can flat out play, and he's a college champion. And to me, I mean, I would have taken him years ago when he was available, because that's how much I liked him. and that's Julius Randle. And I know he gets a little bit of a bad rap and whatever. I think Tibbs is tough to play for, one thing. And, they weren't ready to win. I think if you bring Julius Randle somewhere where they're ready to win, I think he brings a lot to your basketball team because he is a great rebounder for being a smaller guy. He's really developed his ability to stretch the floor. He's good. He's good. He's better taking guys off the dribble than Tobias is. He's faster than Tobias. He's a better defender, in my opinion, when he wants to be than Tobias. And I think if you get a guy in the right situation, then yeah. And when you say, well, why would New York want Tobias? One, okay, he doesn't have 4 years left on his deal. Okay, he has 2 years left on his deal, so it opens up cap flexibility for them in 2 years. And as more of a second fiddle, Tobias Harris is a better basketball player. I think most GMs would think. And for the Sixers getting back Fournier too, gives you some spacing. Listen, this deal right here is a deal that makes you better tomorrow. The second you sign off on this deal, you are a better basketball team immediately. And now you can really make a case to say, hey, I can't come out of an Eastern Conference. Because this deal alone creates spacing, creates another shooter, makes my bench deeper, right? And Fournier, and the fact that I get a better player than Tobias Harris and Julius Randle. He's just a better player. He's more skilled. Which in the NBA, you need more skilled guys.
I like Evan Fournier coming off of our bench, number one. I've always been a fan of that guy. And another guy that seems to absolutely slaughter the Sixers whenever we play him. He drops 25 in the fourth quarter and just is lights out. Julius Randle, for me, man, he can't be a number one option on a team. I think that's the main issue with him in New York is that he was kind of a number one option. Then they, drafted some players, traded for some players, and R.J. Barrett became like the stud, and Julius Randle still wanted to be the number one player and was taking horrible shots at the end of close games, a la like a left-handed Russell Westbrook. I watched a little bit of Knicks games this season, and I saw some not good things from Julius Randle in crunch time, thinking he is the star of the team. Now, if he comes to a team that clearly has a number one and a number two and probably a number three, and he understands his role, that's different. I'm not doing a cartwheel over the fit next to Joel Embiid with Julius Randle unless that's tough for me. That one's tough for me. I'm not a Julius Randle fan at all.
No, I would actually be scared to death of a Julius Randle on the Sixers thing because you're going from a Tobias Harris where, again, there's a lot you can pick apart about Tobias. But what you know is he's going to give you above average at the minimum 3-point shooting and really good defense. Julius Randle's 3-point percent. I mean, he shot like 30% from three. I didn't even look at it, but I guarantee it was like 31%. So
last year he shot 41%. So there's a difference in his 2 years.
From three?
Yeah. In 2020, 2021, he shot, let me pull it back up.
I got it.
33.2. Oh, that's his career.
Yeah, 41 2 years ago and then 30 last year. 30%.
Yeah, that's a big dip.
Yeah, and the year before was 27.
If he can be a 40% three-point shooter, of course he's a what?
Yeah, that was I don't want to say that was like the anomaly year, but in his career, he's gone 27, 27, 22, 34, 27, 41, and then 30%.
Yeah, he's not a great 3-point shooter by any stretch. He shot too many, I think, this year, if I had to guess.
Yep.
Because he shot it well last year. Yeah, so last year he shot 5, which is the most in his career, and he stroked it, right? And then this year he tried to come back shooting the same amount and didn't. No. Right? So there you go. But in terms of why I like him more, he's a better rebounder. He's a better overall athletic defender. Okay. Not saying he's a better defender, but he's an overall better athletic defender. And I think he's a better passer too. I think in the right situation, he could be really good for you. And I'm not really worried about the spacing as much because Joel spaces you. So I'm not like the mister, like, oh, you got to have tons of spacing. Like if my big man couldn't space, then yeah. but he spaces pretty well himself, so it's okay.
If you really think about the spacing and picturing Julius Randle, we could picture, Ben Simmons. I mean, not like I'm not saying he's that. What I'm saying is that Joel Embiid made that work, and that guy wouldn't shoot at all. And that guy had the ball in his hands the whole time. So, I mean, I'm not putting it past, the fact that Joel Embiid could make it work. And at least he's a guy that will catch it in the corner and shoot it.
The thing I say something before I forget.
Yeah.
Like, you people in the chat need to understand something. Okay, you're getting rid of something that's not good enough for his money. So what do you think you're getting back? These are the types of deals that are realistic deals on something you could get back. You don't have to think it makes you better, right? Because that's all for opinion. That's opinion-based shit. No, nobody knows. I don't know. I mean, on the surface, I think, yeah, maybe it does. We're more athletic, right? And that's what we need to be. We need more athletes. Okay, so on that surface, yeah, I think it does. Does he fit? I don't know. Right? Does he buy in? I don't know. I don't have those answers. I don't have that crystal ball. But and just like I don't have it that he's a guaranteed fit, right? So it's all up for opinion until we see it. But that's the problem when you're trying to get rid of something that one isn't that it doesn't make people go 6 to midnight. Okay, you're not calling a GM. He's like, really, Tobias is available? No way. No way.
Chin. The chat literally asked, "Hey, what would a Bradley Beal trade look like?" So we gave it to him. Are we going to Vegas and betting that it's going to happen? No.
I disagree with the poll. I don't think he gets moved. I mean, like bigger than anything. I don't even think he gets moved, not because they don't want to, because what everybody in the chat said, I don't want Randall. I don't want this guy. No shit. You think they want him? So they got to want somebody. So Randall, they have to feel like I felt on draft night with Julius Randall. I thought he was a winner, okay, because he just won. He just won, and he's really good on that Kentucky team, and a big reason why they won, right? And then he went to the slop that was the Lakers at the time, okay? And then he found himself when he went to New York, and he was the guy for a year. He really found himself, all right? And then he had a really down year last year. That also happens too. So, like, I'm not willing to write off energy and effort guys because I always felt like that's what he was, right? Maybe he isn't, okay? Money changes cats. I don't know. But I've always felt like he was that kind of guy. And for this basketball team, the way we've been out-rebounded, like DJ talked about earlier, the way our transition defense has been atrocious, not telling you he's getting back. I'm just telling you he probably can get back faster than Tobias, right? So I think it makes you better.
The real Royal, they couldn't even get a Randall for Westbrook trade done last trade deadline. Yeah, they're selling everything.
And the Knicks are over Julius Randle, and their fans are almost kind of begging for him to be traded at this point because they're just seeing younger guys that share the ball better or whatever. They're just kind of over Julius Randle in New York. I don't think there's a high demand. I don't think there's a high demand for either of these players. So,
well, this one, and this is the one that I said to Tom that it's probably one of the better realistic trades involving Tobias, in my opinion. Maybe there's some better ones, but I want DJ. You haven't seen it yet, and obviously the chat. So I'll put this up. I think this is both realistic, and I think you could argue that we're maybe not way better, but I don't think we're way worse.
Did Kentucky not win it that year? Did he just go to the finals? I mean, maybe I was wrong, Marcus. I don't know. Time goes by. I forget. I might have been wrong. Maybe they went to the championship game and lost. They could have. I thought he won one there, but it wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong, brother. So let me know. This is the one we talked about before the show, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of this. I'm a massive fan of this.
DJ, he's getting giddy over there.
I'm such a big fan of this.
I would be really happy. I'd be really happy.
You get your little red-haired wannabe JJ Redick sniper, okay?
Yeah. On 4 years of control, DJ. 4 years of freaking control.
And John Collins is, when I think about what you need to fit next to Joel Embiid, is the guy's athletic as hell. He shoots the three almost at 40%. If I'm right about that, 38, I think. Career number I have at 38. He doesn't shoot a lot of threes, so that's kind of the same issue I have with Tobias, but that might have to do with the fact that I don't know. Trae Young has the ball 99% of the time. Like, there's a lot of things that go into that. Maybe he would shoot it more on this team and be more of a catch and shoot guy from the perimeter. But the athleticism and the fact that he can shoot a three is what makes me, excited about a John Collins trade and getting Kevin Huerter on top of it. And you get rid of your defensive back, Matisse Thybulle. You get rid of the Tobias contract. You're still giving up the number 23 pick, which now that I look at it, kind of looks like a lot on our end. I don't know. I'd probably do it, though. I would do this one.
The reason, DJ, why I threw in that pick, it's because you're getting two players at 4 years of control each. The Hawks, and I know that, listen, they're going to trade John Collins. They've been trying since the deadline. So they're just trying to move on, and they've been trying to get rid of Huerter also. I don't know why. I mean, that's more of a potential thing, but based off of fit along with an Embiid and a Harden, I think it's really good, especially because he wouldn't be expected to do a lot right away. But you're getting 4 years of control with each. You're getting a quote-unquote bad contract with Tobias for 2 years. Thybulle, who you now need to pay, and, a lower-level first-round pick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've actually had people being like, oh, that's not enough. To where I say, like, okay, if they want, like, you'll continuously hear me say, if you want Jaden Springer, you can take him. Or an Isaiah Joe, just because, I know we need impactful players now, and I just don't think Doc Rivers is ever going to freaking play them, first off, even if they're on the active roster.
Too. And I think a lot of times I look at this draft pick like it's number 3 or 13. It is 23. Yep. So, yeah, I mean, we drafted what? Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot at 23, I think, 2016. So,
yeah. And the thing with his three-point shooting, DJ, with John Collins, at least percentage-wise, it's the same percentage that Tobias Harris shot last year, just over 36%. Now, it's a little bit less, but you're getting the toughness and the rebounding that Tobias may not bring you.
John Collins would have to retire the T-shirt, though, and apologize to Philadelphia.
Yes, he will need to admit that it was an offensive foul.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, I think I got to make this trade too. This is one I think I got to make. No, it's not. It doesn't make me think we're overly better than we are. But I think it fits some needs. It fits some needs for sure. It's a tough one because Huerter's not good defensively at all, so he becomes a little bit of a liability. Collins is I would have to say better than Tobias defensively, even though I think Tobias has gotten better at that. Matisse obviously is a better defender than Huerter, and I'm not crowning Matisse defensively. You know what I mean? We saw that in the playoffs when we played him. So, but I think for the spacing side of things, not even for Collins spacing, just what Huerter can bring you, it changes you up a little bit. And then I have to agree. I do think it gives you more toughness. And Chase, yeah, I like that too. It's not sexy, but sexy doesn't always necessarily win. So I was lukewarm on it. But the more we talk about possibilities and teams that would be interested in them, I mean, that's probably the best deal. It might even be better than the. And I agree there, DJ too. I don't think I got to give you 23 in that deal either. You know what? You're good. You're good there. You're good because they would have to obviously if they want that deal, they'd have to obviously want Tobias or Thybulle or think they're enough assets to get it done. Speed Demon, this is the problem. This is the problem I've been saying from the beginning. So I disagree with the poll because I don't think there's I don't know who wants them.
Well, on the flip side, they're trying to get rid of Collins. They've been trying.
It's true.
And it's funny, I see people, why would the Hawks do this? And then Red Sand goes, oh, no. Take the Huerter, swap him out for a better, more impactful now player, and just put in Bogdanovich. No, why would the Hawks do that? I love your Red Sand.
And give them Korkmaz?
Yeah, okay, take Matisse Thybulle, who the rest of the league still think can play defense. We know he can't. But give the guy who can't shoot and definitely can't play defense. Come on, Red Sand.
Korkmaz has absolutely zero value. He's not even an NBA level player at this point. Doc Rivers played him for 4 months, and then he realized what we were all saying. The guy, it's over. Furkan Korkmaz is over. We thought he was the next, Peja Stojakovic or something, and he's not, because he dropped 40 points in a summer league game. He's not that, and it sucks, but he's not.
Haven't those games been fooling us for years? One guy shot in those games, but no, I mean, listen, Furkan will tell you he's one of the greats. If anybody asked him, but he's definitely not. So I don't know why anybody would want him. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what they do. It really is, on what they think about this roster and where they think it is moving forward.
Aaron, thank you for the super chat, Aaron. He says Tobias isn't a bad player. He's just grossly overpaid. Even if Collins is a bit worse, it's a win just contract-wise. Yeah, way more flexible.
Yeah, and he's a better fit.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Now this one, okay? So TTP's been asking me to find a Sixers Donovan Mitchell trade. Do you two think that even exists? Like, is that even freaking possible?
Now that I know they chose that their preferred trade is Rudy Gobert. They're going all in on Donovan Mitchell. They're not moving him at all.
Yeah.
They had to choose one. There was rumors that these two guys didn't get along or whatever. They had something in the locker room or whatever, and the rumors are that they chose Rudy Gobert, and they're trying to trade him. So, no, I don't think Donovan Mitchell's possible anymore.
Yeah, he's only possible with a Maxey and a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I agree. I don't think it's doable.
I'll throw this one up here because I know this name has been brought up, at least in the chat today. Oh, bring back Jeremy Grant.
Ugh.
So you want the Pistons trade, everybody? Okay. That's what you're looking at.
I admire what Jeremy Grant did for himself in his career, but
I'm good.
I really think it was just going to Detroit and shooting the ball more times that made everyone think Jeremy Grant's an all-star.
I agree.
Like, can we all agree if that trade happens, we're throwing things, not in a good way?
Yeah. I like Kelly Olynyk off the bench for nothing if you just gave him to me for free, but this doesn't do much for me at all. No.
Tom?
No, this doesn't move my needle one bit. Not even a little bit. The only thing that moves it is the fact that I got 1 year left on the Grant's contract, and then it gives me flexibility. But then then I'm not making a trade for any stability, right? I'm just making trades for all flexibility down the road, right? So that worries me. Like, I don't want to make the deal just based on flexibility down the road, like we talked about. Do you have a few years? Sure. The only reason this deal's okay is like semi-average when it's not even average is there's no pick involved.
Yeah.
I'm just giving up Tobias.
True.
So like, okay, like that makes me better. So then is there another deal out there for Matisse, Danny Green, and the 23rd pick that can then make me better on top of that? Right. Then I'm like, okay, then Tom's listening. I'm not like, I don't like anything that's going on, but I'm listening. Because then if you can get something back that's a value there, then I'm saying, okay, this is what I got back in return. Grant's not a star at all, right? Olynyk's a guy. And then what else can I get back for there's other things, right? I don't know. Then maybe I'm like, okay, we're deeper.
Yeah, it gets you off the Tobias contract. I guess it gets you deeper. But I think there's trade possibilities that could make you feel like you got slightly better while doing that. And I don't think that one makes you any better.
So, Tom, what you're saying is make that move and then 2 seconds later do that?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, okay. So I got Josh Hart, Olynyk, and Jeremy Grant.
So Olynyk would be like your backup 4, small
better.
5.
I guess I'm better because I'm deeper. Like, right? It's like it's how you look at it. Like I like Hart, so I think you're better. I think you're better. Oh, I think that makes us better. All of that, but then are they good enough to pull all that off?
And then 2 seconds later, trade Matisse Thybulle in 2 seconds for Kobe White. That way you have a backup point guard.
There you go.
So you're coming out with the night with Grant, Olynyk, Hart, Kobe White.
I think that's a good leave because that leave really leaves you deeper now. You know what I mean? Now you're really deep in terms of like coming in the next year. You're like, okay, this is what I got a lot going on here. Like I got a lot to work with. And that's how I would look at that. Because you don't just have like guys. You have guys who can actually play in this league. Like White, Hart, Grant, and Olynyk's been around for a minute, right? I mean, all of them guys can play right now. How to what level? You know, I think Hart might have the best upside at all of it. But Grant and White can both play though, right? Can they buy in the role? So I mean, I don't know. I would trade. I don't know why I said Green said Kobe White, nah, bro. For Matisse, you don't take that deal? Wow.
Absolutely, you take that deal.
You still don't have a backup point guard today. You would instantly with Kobe White.
Matisse Thybulle was unplayable in the playoffs. This is not up for debate. It's not. It's not. Yes, you take that deal. I understand Philly fans overvalue their own players, but how can you overvalue a player that was unplayable in playoff games? He couldn't even get on the floor because the other team acted like he wasn't there. It was worse than Ben Simmons being ignored by the defense because at least Ben Simmons had the ball in his hands and can dribble the ball and pass the ball. This guy is Ben Simmons without being able to dribble or pass.
Yep.
And then he gets a couple steals, a couple blocks on the other end, and everyone freaks out when realistically his defense was not game-changing at all. He's a highlight defender. That's what he is. He has cool, fun defensive highlights that can get you a turnover and spark the energy and things like that, change the momentum. But there's teams out there and GMs that still think Matisse Thybulle is going to change their entire defense, and that's why we need to sell him. Because if they believe that, we're selling, we're selling a Honda Civic disguised as a Ferrari if they think that.
Yes, trade him now before A, you have to pay him, and B, the rest of the league realize he can't really play basketball. Like, do it now, please.
Which is sad because he's athletic as hell. And if he could just get like a jab step, one dribble, baseline, like if he could just learn some very simple basketball things, he could be very good.
Now, this is going to upset some people, this one. Because we constantly see, DJ, I'm sure you see it in your comments every time you do a show. Oh, you know who the number one destination for Tobias is? It's the Dallas Mavericks. That has to be the destination. Really? Okay. If that's the case, that's what you're getting. Really? Like, okay. And these are Sixers fans saying this. Like, the Mavericks make too much sense. That do anything for you?
I like Tim Hardaway when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. When he's healthy.
Yep.
When he's healthy.
Yeah, Reggie brings you energy for sure. I mean, 3 for 1 makes you almost sort of have to take it because of where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I would probably have to do that deal. I'm not saying I'm running around loving it, but it's almost one of them you have to take. Just because it lengthens you.
That was one of those players, a starter in this situation. Bertans at the 4.
I sure as hell hope not. Sure as that. I mean, so Hardaway would be the 3. He would play your 3. And my guess is 2 seconds after this move, you would sign Nick Batum to like a lower level contract to come play your 4.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's just like it's just that's to get rid of Tobias to get rid of him. Unless they like Timmy that much.
This is Jimmy. I love you. This is where Jimmy loses me. Jalen Brunson's going to get paid. We can't pay him, and we don't need another friggin' guard. Like, no, Jalen Brunson's not coming here ever.
Yeah, he's clearly a starting level guard at this point. And if we are getting guards in any trade package, it's to come off the bench, right? It's to be the backup point guard or the in between James Harden, Tyrese Maxey point guard or whatever. No, they're not letting him go anyway. Is he leaving Dallas? Is that what we're getting at here? Why would Jalen Brunson be in a sign-in trade?
Yeah.
Are they stupid? That kid was amazing in some of those playoff runs, some of those playoff games. That kid was amazing.
Yeah, he was like Jordan Poole, but like south. Like of Texas. Yeah, I mean, unless he's getting paid, crazy amounts from like a Knicks or something. But I don't see any reason why you would move him.
Well, the Knicks are going to go all in on Kyrie Irving.
God bless. Have fun with that. A couple more here. So this one's been hanging around for a little bit. Oh, man, the Charlotte Hornets. They have a bunch of players that we like, right, DJ?
No. Scary
I
Terry.
agree. Well, unfortunately, you're not getting either of them. You're getting these two.
Ooh, nope, I can't do Gordon Hayward.
Nope.
Can't do that. There's a guy, ever since he broke his whole ankle off of his leg, he just hasn't been.
Gordon Hayward?
Yeah, and that sucks. That's one of the worst injuries I've ever seen on a basketball court, but he just hasn't been. He just can't stay healthy for that amount of money. When he is healthy and he's playing good, he's still, Gordon Hayward, but you're not getting Gordon Hayward. You're getting sometimes Gordon Hayward.
Yep.
I mean, Kelly Oubre stinks. So
It's funny you say that because I was just about to put up a comment saying, "Oh, Kelly Oubre's nice." Yeah, well,
That's another one of those players that people will see the 131-point game that he has, and they'll see his ESPN highlights and all these things. But then he would come here, and seeing him put up a goose egg on a Monday night, we'd be screaming, "Kelly Oubre sucks!" You know what I mean? Like we don't watch these players outside of our own team enough to know. And he's been on 17 different teams for a reason.
facts.
Yeah. So I'm out on Kelly Oubre. Unless you're getting him again like Kelly Olynyk. If you give him to me for free, I'll play him over Korkmaz.
I'll play freaking anybody over Korkmaz. And then I'll throw this one in here, and then let me know if there's another team you want me to check on. But I had to do this, Tom, just for you, because I know you like some Harrison Barnes. It would be a Toby for Harrison Barnes and a Dante DiVincenzo sign and trade. This has actually been rumored. Like I could actually, throughout all of like the garbage with like the Hornets and the Pistons, I could, as much as like certain people don't like it, I could really see this happening. Something like this.
Call me behind, but when did DiVincenzo end up where players go to die? The Sacramento Kings. How did that happen?
He was traded because he was on the Bucks. I forget what the Bucks got.
Because he missed the entire playoffs, I think, their championship run with an injury or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think.
And he was traded like a month before this past year's deadline. I can't remember what that trade was, though.
Yeah, I don't know about this deal.
Tom's tired of looking at the trade machine.
Oh, yeah. No, Tom's not a trade machine guy.
I was for bad.
Well, we had to be. We didn't have a choice there, Tom.
And not that I don't want to move Tobias. It's just these deals just don't.
I like this deal. I think Harrison Barnes is a better fit, less money, and then you get a shooting guard off the bench. Again, it's not record breaking or it's something to even tweet about. But I think it helps you. The trade machine thinks it makes us 2 wins worse, but I think it helps you.
I mean, maybe it helps you cap flexibility, right? Down the road for sure.
This is the trade that it happens, right? And Tom's doing a video, crushing it, and I'm just sitting in the corner being like, okay. I'm not going to say much, but I like it. I like it.
Yeah, it just doesn't do anything. It just I don't know why the Sixers would be like, yeah, that's the one.
Because DiVincenzo's a two-way guy who can shoot. Young player on years of control that you'd be signing him to. And Harrison would be a forward option that's a better shooter for $20 million less.
Yeah, better shooter at more attempts per game also. So,
Yep.
more reluctant shooter, less reluctant shooter. Am I using the word right? I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
what
like
DiVincenzo is. I don't know what DiVincenzo is right now.
The thing also that we need to remember here is that Daryl Morey doesn't know who these players are. These are random players to him because he said, everybody wants me to just trade Ben for random players, and we were like, no, but okay. It's Buddy Hield and Halliburton and not random players, Daryl, but so he only sees big names. That's what I'm starting to feel like.
Yeah, I would hope he didn't see those names. Sort of hope those names are like, who are these guys?
I'll call him. I'll send him an email. I'll just be like, here, Daryl.
I think like almost all the deals like sort of made us better, but that one just makes you better because you're essentially out of the money. Like if you're looking at it that way, that's how that one makes you better. In the moment, we're not better. I don't know what the fuck DiVincenzo is. And Harrison Barnes has been the same guy forever, so at least you know what you're getting there.
And there was a couple other ones, but like there was one for the Jazz where we would be getting Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker for Toby, but I'm not even putting that on the friggin' screen because I know what would happen. We go to the Utah Jazz and anything that doesn't involve Donovan Mitchell, it's just like, no, we're good. So.
Yeah, Royce O'Neal's another one of those players that the only thing Sixers fans know about him is that he dropped 41 points off the bench against us. So Royce O'Neal's the runner-up sixth man of the year or whatever else. I just think we don't know enough about players on other teams. We overrate the hell out of them because we see one game. Royce O'Neal's not, drawing attention around the NBA.
So Jimmy goes, so he's been a big I want winners thing, which Tom, you said at the very open that like anybody who's trading for Tobias Harris probably not going to be a winner. It's going to be somebody who just like is just throwing things at a wall, right? So Jimmy's been big on like, oh, we can't get slop. And then when I say the Utah Jazz thing, it's like, oh yeah, I'll do that one. Jimmy, the Jazz aren't winners. They're Sixers West. They don't win.
Jimmy, I didn't drink today, but I'm about to start.
What, SY? Absolutely not. Maxey, Thybulle, Tobias for Beal and Hachimura? No. Nope.
Wait. Maxey? Wait, what was this?
Where do you see it?
Maxey, Thybulle, Tobias for Beal and Hachimura. And he says, who else? Nobody. I'm not doing that deal.
No, I'm not throwing Maxey in anything. I don't care who it's for. I think and I say, a lot that we're running out of time or we need to capitalize on Joel Embiid's prime and all this stuff. And I went back and forth with when I thought Donovan Mitchell was possibly available because he's 25 years old. But Maxey's a player that I'm not throwing in anything because at least if this whole process is a failure, at least you have Tyrese Maxey. You're not looking at total darkness for the next 10 years.
I'll throw you this name, right? Because we've talked about it before. Like, okay, Donovan, of that, like that's not like Durant or Steph Curry, none of like the gigantic names. The name that usually comes up as somebody that we might give up Tyrese Maxey for is usually Donovan Mitchell, right? I just want to throw this other name up here because I think I might do it. It's never going to happen. Would you, in some alternate reality, give up Tyrese Maxey for Darius Garland? Because I think I would. Because that guy's like young Kyrie without like the idiot stuff.
Yeah, I would. He's going to be an absolute. Yeah, I think he's going to be and I think Maxey can be one too. But I just see Garland's just man pick and roll maestro at such a young age, and yeah. I think right now Maxey is a scorer who's trying to learn how to be a facilitator more. Darius Garland just has that point guard DNA at such a young age. So I would do that, but they're not interested, obviously, in moving on from him at all.
Mm-mm. Tom?
I don't know. It's one of the guys, I like Darius Garland, but it's a guy I haven't watched a ton of, obviously. But no, probably not. And I say this because I watched a guy get that much better in 1 year. His growth was remarkable. So, I don't know if I just want to let that roll. I get it though. I get it. Like that's a good one. That's not something I'm gonna be throwing stuff around. That's something I'm gonna be like, okay, cool. I agree with what he does bring to the table. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one because Maxey's like one of my kids. So it becomes tough when I see a guy get better that fast. I'm like, okay, let me give you another year.
It is completely unknown. Tyrese Maxey blew away our expectations with one offseason. What could he possibly do after a second offseason? I think, as a collective, people might be, myself included, being too calm about it. He might come out this season and have a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't see last year. Wait, what's going on here? This dude just, ran a pick and roll, hit a step back, whatever. I mean, I don't know. Tyrese Maxey, the sky is the limit.
Yeah, and the biggest thing wrong with Tyrese Maxey's game arguably wasn't even him. It was they didn't get him the ball enough. He averaged this season 11 shots per game. 11, 12 shots per game. Imagine if that goes up a little bit. Yeah. I'm not saying he has to average 20 shots, but my God.
Yeah, and he wasn't pushed enough by grumpy old man Doc Rivers. He just wasn't. He wasn't pushed enough. He wasn't a focal point. I think Doc's still pissed off that he played him as much as he did because he's less than 30 years old. In the back of his mind. Damn it, he's good. I have to play him. Not 30.
I don't have a choice. That guy actually knows how to play basketball. I got to play him. AG says, could we get PJ Tucker going into free agency?
Would love PJ Tucker. Would love PJ Tucker. A dog. Absolute dog. Absolute hustle. Absolute just never going to stop. Beat James Harden 3,000 times in that series to loose balls, rebounds, whatever else, as James was just standing with his feet planted in what looked like quicksand. PJ Tucker's a hustler, and he's still the number one corner three-point shooter in the NBA.
Always been a big PJ fan, for sure. Love me some PJ Tucker.
And he's almost 37.
I know.
It just doesn't seem like he's slowing down.
It's like
junkyard dog.
It's the one thing I worry about him. I would love him, but it'd be Philly's luck to where he actually starts playing his age the second he gets off the plane here.
That would.
The friggin' the M. Night Shyamalan movie, Old. Instead, Philadelphia is that beach that they're on in that movie, and they age literally 20 years in 5 seconds. That would be our luck.
Absolutely would be. He'd be hurt for all 82. Like a preseason injury.
You sign him a friggin' 3-year deal to where he'll be 40 in year 3.
Sprained MCL in training camp or something.
Becomes Udonis Haslam.
I'd actually take that. Just to get him in the locker room, I'll take that.
All right, guys. You guys have anything else before we wrap it up? I think we did. I think we covered the bias.
Well done. Well done with the trade machine.
It was a fun time.
I had fun.
Yeah, I had fun too.
You're such a liar. Such a liar.
I don't know if I'm ever gonna have fun with the Sixers again.
Exactly. There you go. There you go. Now you're being truthful.
We've just been getting hurt too much. Too much. No,
if you didn't do sports talk, would you have quit watching?
No.
I feel like that a lot because I've never quit watching the Sixers, so I lie to myself when I say that. But I would definitely take some months off, like I know a lot of the fan base does. When they get really fed up, they're like, "I'm not watching this garbage," and they don't watch it for a couple weeks.
Yeah, sometimes it'd be nice to put the phone down per se in terms of the Sixers and other teams. Sometimes, like I don't feel like talking about this group. Like we've been talking about this group every year in terms of like, oh, this is the year. This is look at the pieces. Look at guys come here. Al Horford couldn't even shoot anymore. Like guy just came here, all of a sudden he couldn't shoot. Guy didn't miss a three for like freaking 3 straight seasons before he came here. All of a sudden couldn't shoot. So it's always on him. Josh Richardson, we all thought was a good player before he came here. Came here, he was a dog, and not in a good way. Like a wounded animal. So I mean, everything we get seems to go to shit. It must be something in the air over there. I don't know. Nick Castellano is living in Ben's house. He can't hit. So I mean, it's an ongoing cycle. But maybe this is the year. So we'll see what we do on draft night. If we keep the pick, if we trade it, if we, what are we gonna do? So before we head out,
play tonight.
No, got a night off. Great time to have a night off. You're 15-3 in the month of June. Like now, I want you playing. Going to Texas. They're on the way to Texas and in San Diego. So, did they select a player that they keep Thursday night? The Sixers in the first round. Yes or no on the way out?
I'm going no. I think Daryl Morey knows that that's a valuable piece that he needs to move to get the things done that he knows he has to get done this offseason. So I definitely think that they're not drafting and keeping a player. If they do, whether or not he's a great prospect or not, like he's going to be 19 years old. We know he's not going to play. He might even be in the G League for a year at 23. You never know what you're going to get at 23. Or, like you said, could be a player like Maxey that falls at 23, so you never know. But I don't think it's part of the timeline right now. They already did it with Jaden Springer, who, is still trying to get NBA minutes. So I don't see them drafting and keeping a player. No, I see them. I see Daryl Morey going all in this offseason.
Yeah, there's no chance in hell they're keeping that player. There's no chance in hell. There's a better chance that they trade that pick and then they trade another package to get like Terrence Ross or something. So there's a better chance they make 2 trades than they make 0 trades.
Okay. Then, like, the question comes is who the hell wants Danny Green and, the 23rd pick?
I'll spin that, though. It's not about that. It's about who wants the 23rd pick and a young player. Because Danny he's just a casualty of war at that point. He's just.
You have to put Matisse in.
Yeah. Danny's just a podcast host now. That's what he is.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it have to be Matisse in there, too. So it have to be a pick, Matisse, and Danny. Okay. You have to find somebody that likes that. We'll see if Daryl can get it done. I'm going to purposely disagree just because I think Daryl has came up short on some of the things that I thought he'd be really good at. So let's see how he handles this situation. Because I got a weird feeling we're going to be a little bit frustrated after draft night, just in terms of, wow, they drafted, they kept that pick, huh? Okay.
Draft is next Thursday, 29th?
No, this in a couple days.
This Thursday?
Yeah.
How did I not know that?
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I didn't know until 2 days ago, DJ. So
I thought it was the 29th. Oh, that's the number when Harden has to sign his thing. Is the 29th.
The NBA moves fast now. It's crazy. They don't give us any time to breathe.
The fact that the NBA draft is this Thursday. I didn't know that. Oh my god.
I know.
Because like Tom said, I haven't cared about an NBA draft for like 7 years now.
Listen, Toby and Danny, they might only be Sixers for like another 2.5 days, DJ.
Wow. This is crazy, actually. Changes everything I was about to do tomorrow.
Draft talk coming up.
DJ's got to make some calls.
All right, boys. Great shit.
Yeah, man.
Don't screw it up, Sixers.
Oh, they will. They will.
Oh, yeah.
For Ryan Brodo, DJ Eastwood, Running Back Philly. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, make sure you're subscribed to Running Back Philly and A2D. If you haven't already, do it. Stay tuned. Turn your damn alerts on. Should I say trust the process since it's draft week? Let's trust it.
Machine.